Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to AriesEDC. So, I've been catching up with the videos of everything that came in that bag of knives from a friend of the channel who sent a bunch of stuff in, and he sent in 2 slip joint knives. Now, if you are not a follower of the channel, you need to subscribe, number one, and hit that like button, because you would know that I have made it very clear that I am really not a terribly big fan of slip joint knives. But I keep hearing how great these 2 knives are. So he sent these in to try maybe to sway my opinion, or at least he was interested in my thoughts on these 2 knives. And I've been throwing these in my pocket, and they have to throw them in your pocket. There's no pocket clip. And I did not get any kind of leather slip with these or anything, so I have been just literally throwing them in my pocket. And I've been trying to, get myself acquainted with these knives. Now, I have lots of opinions on this, and I have kind of my versus one versus the other on these 2 knives. But if you're not familiar with what these are, let me explain it to you. This is the QSP Hedgehog, and it is a slip joint. It has that very unique blade shape. I don't know if what they're calling that. They're calling it a sheep's foot, but I don't know if I'd really call. I guess it's a sheep's foot. It's a very odd sheep's foot to be a sheep's foot, but whatever. That's what QSP is calling it. So we'll go with that. You have titanium, you have camo carbon, you have all the screws, M390 steel, a nice deep hollow grind to a very, very thin edge. And this thing is a super slicer. You have the contoured scales on this. Everything is nice and contoured, and it feels really good. So you have the QSP Hedgehog. And this, if you haven't figured it out by now, is a Jack Wolf knives. Now, this is my first time ever really handling a Jack Wolf slip joint. I have been able to handle the Jack Wolf Fixie, which was pretty cool. And this is the Jack Wolf Sharpshooter. I thought it was the Gunslinger, but this is a sharpshooter based on the information that I'm seeing. And so this is the Jack Wolf Sharpshooter. Again, all titanium screws and hardware, handle materials, again, camo carbon with the scales on this. You got the black DLC coated blade. And of course, this steel is S90V. Of course, both of these have very good steel materials with the titanium, with the camo carbon, with a high grade steel, especially the Jack Wolf with the S90V would be something I would consider a more higher end than M390. But that to those are that to each his own. But man, so both of them are a little bit different, yet all the same at the same breath. Let me pull up some of the information, and we'll start talking about the Hedgehog. So I already talked to you guys about, it has the 90s camo carbon. The blade is, let's see, hold on, let me find it. The blade length is 2.875 inches. The overall length is 6.625 inches, and the closed length is 3.75 inches. Now, I've heard people give this pole a number rating. I have no idea what that is. I know it takes a lot of effort to get that open, but the walk and talk, as they say, is very good. You can hear that. Hold on. And the walk and talk is very good. And I will say this, in the open position, this is very comfortable, super comfortable in the hand. And the M390 is pretty good. I think from what I read, they have heat treated that to a 62 to 63, I believe, based on the website, and for what I've seen. The price of this, I'm looking at traditional pocket knives right now, and the price of this one is $145, which that's not terrible. It's really not terrible when you're getting, they're calling the integral bolster liners, which are bead blasted titanium, and then the camo carbon. It's really, really nice. The back spring obviously is going to be steel. You have a half stop, and it's you got the fullers here that make it a nice pull out here. So that's some good walk and talk, and an awesome blade. And it's tough. It's tough to do. So now let's talk about the Jack Wolf sharpshooter. Open, well, you know what? Let's do some size comparisons on the Hedgehog since we have it out. Let's see, I do not have any slip joints, so we're just going to go with the regulars. We have our Rat 2. The Rat 2 is overall a little longer, and the blade is a little longer. I'll leave that here. The Elementum, which is something I regularly use, so you see it's just a little shorter than the Elementum, especially with that blade shape. And then last but certainly not least is my Para 3. Yes, I got it right that time. So we have our Para 3. Obviously, this really isn't a fair comparison, but I don't really have anything else to compare it to. But yep, so there's your size, your comparisons on the QSP. That always scares me. Here's a Jack Wolf. The Jack Wolf, the open length is 6.65 inches. The blade length is 2.91, so we're a little bit longer. Let's see, what's the closed length is 3.74, so you're just a little 3 3/4 on the closed length. Again, we have our hollow grind, but it's not so deep hollow grind as the QSP. The QSP has a much deeper hollow grind than this does. The HRC on this is 60 to 61, and it is S90V. You have the fat carbon and the bead blasted, they're calling it bead blasted titanium. This is the coated titanium. And the back spring is a stainless steel instead of just a regular steel. It does have the half stop. The pull is a little bit less than what it is on the Hedgehog, and the walk and talk is good. Hopefully you can hear that. So the walk and talk is good. It does take some strength to pull it. You have that blade shape, and I don't know what you would consider that blade shape. They're calling it a clip point. It's an extended clip point, that's for sure, with a nice deep belly on it. It is comfortable in the hand. There are some rough edges, especially like these little grooves in the bolster, kind of get a little sharp in there, especially if you're really gripping it. But it's not terrible, and it has that nice sharpening choil that you can use. Fantastic. And right now, again, I'm on traditional pocket knives because I don't know if these are even available right now. I think this one is unavailable, but the price they have it on traditional pocket knives is $299.99 for this particular model. So you have 145 or 299. And I mean, okay, we're gonna get into it here in a second, but let me get some size comparisons on this one as well, just to be fair. We have the Rat 2, and we have the Elementum. So obviously we got a little bit smaller of a package than those two. And finally, again, the Para 3. Definitely not really a fair size comparison, but it gives you an idea of how big or small that knife actually is. So let's pull this one back out again. So the walk and talk on these guys is good. The materials are amazing. The construction is amazing. Everything about these is amazing. But, and this is a giant but, I don't see the need to carry a slip joint. I just don't. Maybe if I was doing some kind of fancy event and I didn't want anything clipped on my pocket, then I could just throw one in my pocket just for, just to have, just in case. But I have several knives that can also fit that bill, and they're not one of these. And usually when I'm trying to cut something, I'm holding it with one hand, and I want to be able to take the knife out, flip it with one hand to be able to use it, just like my microjet. I just want to be able to do that. I don't want to have to put it down, open up the blade, and then go to cut, and then trying to put this all back and put it back in my pocket. So these are amazing. They are completely amazing. I carry a folder and a fixed blade every day. And I've been carrying a folder, a fixed blade, and a slip joint with these two when I'm carrying these two. And if I had to use a knife, for whatever reason, I'm probably going to go to the fixed blade first, then maybe my folder, which leaves this just sitting in my pocket all day. So as much as I can appreciate what these are and all the great materials and everything that they have, I probably would not want to have a slip joint. But if you're going to twist my arm and say, you know what, Aries, you got to pick. You got to pick either the Jack Wolf or the QSP. Which one would you have? That's a tough one. That is a really tough one. And to be honest with you, even though the Jack Wolf, you could say, has a more premium steel than the Hedgehog, after holding these and really experiencing them, I would pick the Hedgehog. It's much more comfortable in my hand. I find that blade shape very useful. And I find this thing is a laser of a cutter. And it's now, granted, these were sent by one of you, and I don't know if anything's been done to either one of the edges on either one of these. But man, the QSB, if I had to get a slip joint, a modern slip joint, this would probably be it. It's just well made, great price, and for everything that it is, I would probably pick that. Now, saying that, this is still a really good buy. Titanium, camo carbon, S90V. The $300 mark is extremely high for just a slip joint knife. That's just my opinion. But what you're getting is it's definitely not lacking in the quality. I can tell you that much. And with all the packaging and the slip and everything else that may come with this, I can see the added price tag, but I honestly would probably never buy either one of these. Especially, I have some of my older stuff. This is a 1930s K-bar folder that I just happened to find. Obviously, we're talking a very different era. So there is no half stop, but I want you to hear this. That is so much more enjoyable for me than, there's something about that noise that is better than that noise or that noise. I don't know. That one's pretty good. But here, one more time. Oh, that, I don't know. There's something about that one that is so much more appealing to me. But these two are very good slip joints. I'm saying that. They are very good. And if I had to pick one, I'm going to pick the QSP Hedgehog. But that is not saying anything negative about the Jack Wolf knife. The price tag is well beyond anything I'm willing to spend, especially when you take into consideration if this truly is a $300 knife. I just picked up a Sumo for $200. So I don't know. That just puts it into a little bit better perspective, I hope. But anyway, thank you guys. I hope I'm not making too many people upset with this, but slip joints, they're amazing, but still you haven't talked me into it. And I do like the more modern style slip joints than I do some of the traditional stuff. I just don't see myself using one. I would rather use a more modern folder in my pocket that I can deploy with one hand than trying to pull something out, pulling that out, and then using it and then throwing it in my pocket. It's just, I don't know. Just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment, or not. Again, the choice is always yours.